It may happen again, anytime, anywhere in the world. This time it happened in the Arabian Sea. A collision, an explosion, and fire. The 250,000-ton deadweight tanker AQUARIUS was drifting helplessly off the coast of Oman. She was taken in tow by the Smit tug Thames, later joined by a German and a Danish tug. The AQUARIUS was heavily damaged and her afterpart was flooded. Not a single object had escaped the intense heat of the fire, not the radar, nor the telegraph. And even the glass of the bridge windows melted to little glassy pools on the deck. The huge collision hole extended far under the waterline. The AQUARIUS, brought to the sheltered waters of Bandar Abbas, to a certain extent was lucky in that her help came in time and capable men were ready with proper equipment. A Smit salvage team flew out to the spot together with a plane load of special salvage equipment. Hoses, generators, switchboards, transportable pumps, and thousands of meters of special cable. This material was taken on the tug Thames, which rushed it to the AQUARIUS. The fully loaded tanker was a dead ship. Salvaging her would be a difficult and risky job. The first thing was to reduce the excessive strain on the ship's construction due to the complete flooding of the afterpart. Patches were fitted in the after-peak bulkhead, after which the extreme aft compartments could be pumped out. The fuel oil from the starboard aft tanks was transferred forward, and gradually the aft part came up. In close cooperation with the owner's representatives, Smith's naval architects on the spot carefully prepared a scheme of lightening, by which the undue stresses would be kept to a minimum. A ballast tank in the middle was partly filled. To further improve the ship's condition, cargo would have to be transferred into another tanker. A great number of fenders were prepared.
Ja, hier away.
Als je die achterspring vasthoudt en de achter doordraait, dan komt hij precies goed.
Als het spring zo houden en achterdeur hier, dan komt hij precies goed hoor.
Ja.
All deck openings are kept tightly shut as the lightning tanker Leon slowly approaches. Very carefully, the vessel is maneuvered alongside until the fenders make contact with both ships. A conductor cable is connected and is clamped down on both tankers to balance the static electricity built up during the pumping operation. Now the cargo transfer preparations can continue.
Jetzt kommt jetzt zum darauf hier.
Noch ein bisschen mehr. Noch ein bisschen mehr. Oh, dat kan weer een dekkel aan de dit nemen. Nee, de pomp kan aan de dit nemen. Nou ja, genoeg. Dat is helemaal een probleem. Oh, laat dat maar zo heen naar de beste aanleggen auto. Oh, dat gaat zo lief.
Let daar, ik loop aan ons.
Gaan we
Erin hier, nee?
wat hoor is er? Weer van weg.
The Butterworth holes are now opened, and carefully the pumps are lowered into the tanks and submerged into the cargo of crude oil. The pumps and hoses are also earthed to the ship. No risk is taken.
Copy, dog. Yep. Sweet, sweet. Nou, ik denk dat we een beetje slek, nee, een beetje slek meer moeten hebben.
The cargo hose, the inlet to the receiving tanker, is hoisted across and connected to the main manifolds. The electrical engineer is an important man in the operation. He is responsible for installing the switchboards, the division of the connections, and the testing of the pumps one by one.
Kenny!
Deep down in the oil, rotors of the pumps hum inaudibly, but their power brings the hoses on deck to life, and their combined output flows into the tanks of the Leon through a network of pipelines and hoses. The after part of the Aquarius steadily comes up. By checking regularly the amps consumed, the operation of each individual pump can be controlled. It's always safety first. After days of hard work, the vessel is now in a condition in which she can be safely towed over a distance of 7,000 miles to Japan, where the owners wanted her to be delivered for repairs. The Leon leaves the scene to deliver the first part of the salvaged cargo of her stricken sister. Another disaster occurs, this time in the English Channel. The 77,500-ton deadweight tanker Pacific Glory collided, exploded, caught fire, and burning oil spread on the sea, threatening to pollute the beaches of the south coast of England. While the British Royal Navy rendered the first assistance, the owners called upon Smit to help them. Smit immediately chartered a plane and flew over a salvage team, together with a large supply of special equipment. At the same time, several of their tugs and salvage craft with firefighting equipment were dispatched to the casualty. By the time the tugs arrived, the fire was out, but the tanker had grounded off the Isle of Wight. While the autumn gales were still breaking over the aftership of the Pacific Glory, the salvage experts, after inspection, soon came to the conclusion that discharge of cargo would be essential. To this effect, another plane load of special lightening equipment, including pumps and hoses, was transported to the stricken tanker. The Shell Oil Company, the consignees of the cargo, made available their tanker, Halia, to receive the cargo. The partly submerged condition of the Pacific Glory made the berthing and mooring of the Halia very complicated. But with the assistance of the salvage tugs, this could be very carefully accomplished. The decks were covered with a thick layer of oil, and Senior Salvage Inspector Rom Kolthoff, the man in charge, did some skating around. And he wasn't the only one either. This fellow, though, set about it cleverly. Thanks to superb teamwork, the transfer of cargo can start. But it was only for some 20 hours that the Halia could be kept alongside, for then the wind and sea increased to such an extent that the vessel had to be taken away. It lasted another week before the lightening of the last few thousand tons of crude necessary for the refloating of the tanker could be continued. Powerful tugs were already standing by, and it was in the nick of time, just before the next full gale, that the Pacific Glory could be taken in tow to a sheltered anchorage off Torbay, where she was eventually put in a seaworthy condition. Thorough preparation for seaworthiness paid its dividend during the stormy passage to Rotterdam, the port where the owners wanted their ship delivered. In tow of the tugs Nordsee, Orinoco, Smithbank, and accompanied by several other craft, the Pacific Glory passed the Mast Buoy, the doorstep to the new waterway. The Pacific Glory survived the battle, but heavily scarred. Glory left is the second word on the scorched nameplate of the tanker. The safe delivery of the tanker, with far over 60,000 tons of her original cargo intact, was the climax of a successful international salvage operation in which the risks of large-scale pollution were brilliantly overcome. Skill against peril.